All right. The internet has been abuzz with a new alternative currency, Bitcoins. Joining me now to help understand what they are and really what they represent in the resistance to the Federal Reserve System is Stefan Molyneux, host of freedomainradio.com. Stefan, thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, now this is a pretty broad topic and something really difficult to get your head around, but I'm really glad that we've got you because you uniquely have the philosophical, the economic, and the technology perspective to really get a handle on this thing. You know, and so Bitcoin, it's a digital currency created in 2009, really just starting to take off now, gone through some of the fluctuations of currencies that we've seen in traditional government-imposed currencies. How does this work? Let's start from the basics. How are Bitcoins created?
Well, Bitcoins are created through the application of resources. So you've got computer resources, you've got electricity. So basically what happens is you attempt to solve algorithms for the Bitcoin problem. They're sort of mathematical problems that are put forward. And if you solve it at the right time, you get 50 Bitcoins. So it's called mining because it's similar to the way you would mine gold. You're applying resources from your computer and your household or your office, and that generates Bitcoins. And they're never going to be more than 21 million Bitcoins because every time new Bitcoins get created, it takes a step forward to reducing the amount. So you start now with 50 Bitcoins. After a certain amount get created, you only get 25 and so on. So as the community grows that is using Bitcoins, the Bitcoin amount grows with them, hopefully keeping the prices sort of stable.
But you're not actually creating anything of value. You're taking electricity and computer processing resources that are of value and creating something that is technically of no value, right?
That's entirely correct. Yeah, this is not a resource-based currency. It's not backed by gold or silver or anything like that. So you're entirely correct about that, which has its pluses and its minuses.
Okay, because when I first heard of this, I was thinking, why not have it as a credit system that anybody could plug into the same way, in the sense that NASA had computers crunching, you know, anybody could plug into NASA to crunch SETI data in order to help out with that project. There could be some central hub that is benefiting from this, and then you're actually creating credits of something of value, no?
Well, no. See, remember, there's no central hub to Bitcoin. It's one of the things that differentiates it from most other forms of currency. It's pure peer-to-peer, like Usenet or anything like that. There's no central place where it can be monitored or controlled like Napster or shut down or pillaged or taken over or investigated or anything like that. So it's a completely distributed currency system, and that's one of the reasons why you don't have a central place that is controlling the creation, but it's people who are interested in getting Bitcoins. You can either buy them or you can trade for them, or you can devote your computer to creating them.
So it was kind of launched from this algorithm, but what stops people from counterfeiting then?
Well, there's a number of counterfeiting measures that are put in there. I won't bore everyone with the technical details. I just did an interview with a fellow about this on my channel at youtube.com/freedomainradio. But basically, it's anonymous, it's encrypted, and there's a lot of fail-safe mechanisms in there to prevent counterfeiting. So every time you buy something from someone, that information goes out to everyone in the network automatically, and so you can't reuse the coins somewhere else. It's a very powerful system, and it's a really ingenious system. It's a beautiful thing that has been created, in my opinion. I think it's just wonderful.
So it is reasonably secure, and it seems like it is genuinely pioneering in terms of creating a digital currency, but it's missing a couple essential elements to make it really viable as an alternative currency to say, challenge what we have as existing mediums of exchange and people who barter or, God forbid, use Federal Reserve notes, right?
Well, no, you see, it's just another form of currency. So, for instance, you could have a currency that's backed by gold, but that's going to be very expensive. You've got to buy the gold, you've got to store the gold, and if the government doesn't like it, it can come and pick it up, as it did with the Liberty Dollar. So if you're going to have a resource-based currency, like gold or silver, all it's going to be is more expensive. This currency has zero transaction costs and zero overhead. They don't have to buy gold and store it.
All right, so is this the future? Is this going to bring down the dollar in the Federal Reserve System?
I think it's a very powerful and interesting contender. I don't think it will be used for huge transactions in the future. But given that there are only going to be 21 million Bitcoins ever, if it captures even 1% of the online marketplace over the next few years, each Bitcoin could be worth thousands and thousands of dollars. They've already gone from a few pennies to $20 to $30 over the space of 6 months. So they really are gaining in value.
It just seems to me like this is kind of a temporary thing that only exists because it's competing with another currency that's backed by nothing with the US dollar, and this is simply a more efficient version of having something that is secure and backed by nothing,
see,
kind of an intermediate phase.
You got to remember, Adam, this is not politically driven. This is not, let's print money.
Well, of course, that's a huge
advantage, right? The growth of it is heavily controlled, and that's the opposite of a fiat currency, and it's gaining in value rather than losing in value, which is enormously different from any other kind of government-run currency.
All right, well, we're happy to support anything that is challenging the monopoly of the Federal Reserve System as a medium of exchange. Stefan, thank you for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
That was Stefan Molyneux, host of freedomainradio.com.